You guys that are able to relax in your sugar house, can you drop me a line in the comments and tell me how you do it? Because frankly, I would love to get there one day. All right, 9 degrees outside and it is 20 degrees in the sugar house. Yeah, it is really, really chilly. Here's that sweet you saw us dump in the pan. You know, this is left over from the last time we boiled. This is called sweet. And what it is, it's the end of a boil. Like when you have no more sap to add into your pan, there's always going to be some partially made syrup, some near syrup in the pan. That's what this stuff is. It's left over from our last boil, and we have had it in the refrigerator now for 9 days, and that's risky. If you keep this stuff too long, it will spoil. You don't really know until you put heat under it if it's going to be, okay or not. But once you build a fire under it and start boiling it, it'll become readily apparent. You guys that have ever made ropey syrup, you know what I'm talking about. Let's take a look in the RO room. You watched us RO that cloudy sap. Yep, the tank is empty. The RO has shut off. It is almost 45 degrees in here. It's a little warm. The sap we've got 1 55-gallon drum full, well, almost full, and it is starting to look a little cloudy. We've got half of another one. I can see the bottom in this one. Not too bad. That cloudy sap's probably going to make a little darker syrup, but it oftentimes has a more robust flavor to it, more maple flavor to it, so I'm not upset about this at all. I'm more worried about what we have in the pan out there from 9 days ago. So let's get started and we'll see how this turns out. I'll bet this is froze up. We'll see here in a minute. It's trying to move. All right, that looked good. Is it going to come in the bucket? That doesn't look so good. Oh. There it goes. All right. Like I said, we're going to start off real slow with this fire because it is super cold. We don't want to warp anything. We'll get our temperature probe hooked up. I like to put that kind of right in the same area as the manual thermometer. All right, so right down on there. .32 degrees, 32.3 to be exact. Just building the heat pretty slowly. That's what I want to do today. Everything looks good so far, but we're not out of the woods yet. I know what you're thinking. Throw the wood to that thing and let's get going. But remember, small fire starting out. Let's get this thing up to temperature a little bit before we just crank it on and hit the blower. You guys see those two center dividers? See them pulling in, bowing in? Well, then you really put the heat to it too quick, that'll be a lot worse. That's why I'm going slow this morning. When it's this cold, I'd rather take a few extra minutes and just kind of get everything up to temperature a little slower. And we're getting there. It won't be much longer. Okay, so stovepipe temperature is starting to come up. We're in the green. Obviously the arch is getting hot. Let's up our wood here. Spread that out a little bit. Just going to put a couple more sticks in it. We're going to hit the blower. Close the draft door. Here we go. Hear it? Getting serious now. See those two center dividers squeezing together even more? Starting to steam. Things go quick when you hit that blower. That Smoky Lake Corsair really gets its legs under it and gets going. You can see we're starting to boil there in that center channel. We'll know soon enough if this syrup's going to be any good or not. All right, we're getting a little more decent steam. I want to go ahead and open the cupola. Unlatch that. Oh, it's froze. There it goes. There we go. And the other side. It's froze too. If I can jar it a little bit. There it goes. Now we can vent. I told you before that, you know, if your sap goes ropey or your near syrup goes ropey, it gets real like, almost like a snot consistency. Well, I'm going to take this, and I'm going to look for that right now. Try to keep you guys out of the steam. You'll know it because it'll be real stringy when you pick it up out of the strainer. It won't run off in nice. That's looking real good. I'm feeling pretty good about that. I think we're going to be okay. Woo! Dodged a bullet. Starting to get just a little bit of flow out of the float box. That means we're actually going through our syrup. It's evaporating out of the pan and the float box is opening to let more sap in. So yeah, we're underway. All right, remember, we want to see 7.1 degrees above the boiling point of water for it to be maple syrup. And we'll check it with a hydrometer when it gets closer. Boiling good now. The cupola is just about it. Passing all the steam it can. Pays to be ready. Don't want to get caught, you know, this stuff going to maple syrup all at once and me not having a pan under here to catch it. I've been there. You know, for me, making maple syrup is kind of one extreme or the other. It can be very boring or it can be sheer panic and just, you know, the blink of an eye. In between those two extremes are moments of general apprehension. And I would say that best describes my mood throughout the day. I watch a lot of videos of other folks making maple syrup and they're in there kicked back in a chair and you know, got a drink in their hand. That is not the sugar house here at B&B Farms. It is all hands on deck, which today is just me, and I'm watching everything constantly. I don't sit down until the boil is over. So you guys that are able to relax in your sugar house, can you drop me a line in the comments and tell me how you do it? Because frankly, I would love to get there one day. And that's what we're here for, drawing off fresh maple syrup right off the evaporator. Going to be a little heavy on this draw, I think. We'll open her a little more. There we go. All right, guys, this is probably going to be a really long draw. It's been going on right now for probably a minute and a half, which on a small evaporator is pretty good. But that sweet that we put in the pan, that's kind of how this works. When you start with an already sweet pan, that first draw can be pretty large, and then there'll be a kind of a gap in between the next one. It tastes good though. So the half barrel is empty. We're moving over to the full barrel. It took about an hour and a half to get rid of that half a barrel. We weren't moving real quick. I'm hoping that we can crank up and this one will go a little quicker. Okay, all the sap tanks are empty. We've got about, maybe 2 gallons up in the head tank. Let me show you what the boil looks like. So you can see that we're still boiling, we're still evaporating, there's still sap. You see that? Yeah, there's still sap coming into the float box. But we're in the shutdown phase. We don't want a roaring fire in this thing, you know, when we're getting ready to shut it down. So I'm just going to throw little pieces of wood in it, some little like slab wood, burns up real quick, real hot. And that way I can kind of adjust this fire to do just what I need it to do and, you know, not have too big a fire by the time we want to quit. I'll bring you back here and show you how much syrup we ended up with. You can see the boil is over, still got some steam coming off of it. We're going to leave this sweet in the pan and just kind of let it, it won't really freeze, but it'll get pretty slushy in there. The temperature is not supposed to be above freezing for the next, oh gosh, 4 or 5 days. So I'm going to leave this sweet right here in this pan. It'll be just fine. It's either that or put it in the refrigerator, and what's the difference? I'll cover it, leave it right here. It'll be ready to go next time we're ready to boil. Let's take a look at how much fire is left in the Smoky Lake firebox. I'm going to shut the blower off. That's all we got. Just a few hot spots in there. Very little coals. All right, enough stalling. I know what you want to see. How much maple syrup did we make? Let's take a look. Here we go. I always love that when it pours into the bucket. We drew off a little heavy, we always do, so we'll put a little water to it, bring it back to the correct density once we get, you know, ready to filter it and bottle it. It's been quite the day back here in the sugar house. It has warmed up outside to a balmy 17 degrees. And to be honest, I'm ready to go to the house. So yeah, I'll be ready to go in and get warm for a little bit. Well, there it is. You probably can't tell from, you know, where you guys are, but the level is right there on that bucket. So by the time we add water to it, bring it back to correct density, like I said, we draw off kind of heavy. It's pretty thick. It'll probably come up to about right there. So I'm going to say there's close to 3 gallons in that 5-gallon bucket. Well, there it is. You know, almost 3 gallons of finished syrup. You know, if you remember, we got that from that 200 gallons of cloudy maple sap. And I put the question to you guys, should I boil it? Should I dump it? What would you do? Well, obviously we chose to boil it. And was it worthwhile? Yeah, it was. 3 gallons isn't a whole lot, but you know, it was a beautiful day to be out in the sugar house. A little cold, I won't lie. But yeah, we got 3 more gallons than we would have if we'd have just dumped it on the ground. So yeah, totally worth it to us. Well guys, I'm on ahead to the house. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Get outside, it's beautiful. Sure, it's cold, but it's still beautiful. Be nice to one another, and I'll see you on the next video.